That worthless piece of garbage deserves to lose everything. The message lit up my phone at 11:47 p.m. on a Tuesday. My name is Charlie Grayson. I'm 38 years old. I've been a school counselor at Jefferson Middle School in Kansas City, Missouri for the past 12 years. Married to Elise for 9 of those. I used to think what we had was real. The message wasn't meant for me. It came through because we shared a cloud account, something I'd set up years ago to keep things simple. She was texting her sister Lauren about me, about our marriage, about how she planned to ruin me. I sat in my home office staring at the screen. Elise was upstairs, probably asleep, or pretending. These days, it was hard to tell. He's such a weak man. The next message read, "The judge will believe anything I say." I didn't rush upstairs, didn't confront her, just sat there in the silence, letting the house creak and settle around me. The same house I've been paying for the last 7 years. The same house I painted, fixed, renovated. Every pipe, every cabinet, every appliance. I had done it all. And still, something had fell off for a while. The way she pulled away. Started working late, 3 nights a week. Always at the office. Always urgent. She'd stopped asking about my day. Stopped laughing at my jokes. Stopped touching me, unless she had no choice. I tried to talk to her once. "We need to work on us," I said one night over dinner. She looked at me like I'd grown a second head. "Work on what, Charlie?" "Everything's fine." Everything was not fine, and now I understood why. I scrolled back through more messages. They stretched back for weeks. Chats about divorce lawyers, about hiding assets, about painting me in court as a monster. He never even yells, she'd written, but that's what makes it so believable. I'll say he makes me feel unsafe, even when he's quiet. My hands didn't shake. My breathing didn't change. I just felt a cold weight settle in my chest. The woman I had trusted for nearly a decade wasn't just leaving me. She was planning to destroy me. I closed the phone and went to bed. She was already under the covers, turned to the wall. Her breathing was soft, steady, almost peaceful. I lay there beside her, staring at the ceiling, until the first light crept through the blinds. When she got up, I made her coffee like always. Kissed her goodbye like always. Told her to have a good day, just like always. But something had shifted. She just didn't know it yet. I met Elise at a teacher's conference in Springfield 9 years ago. She was there pitching contracts to school districts on behalf of her marketing firm. Smart, elegant, ambitious. We talked for hours that first night, closed the hotel bar down. She wasn't like the women I'd known before. Where they were simple, she was sharp. Where they were content, she was hungry. She made me feel like I could be more. We got married 2 years later. Small ceremony, just close friends and family. I thought I'd hit the jackpot. Those early years were good. She encouraged me to apply for head counselor, pushed me to finish my master's. I backed her too. When Nexra Labs offered her that senior marketing role, I threw a celebration. When she wanted a new kitchen, I learned how to install cabinets to save money. But somewhere, that wasn't enough anymore. My job stopped being impressive. My income stopped being enough. The life we had stopped being exciting. "You're just comfortable with mediocrity," she'd snapped during one of our last real talks 6 months ago. "That's your problem, Charlie. You don't want anything bad enough to fight for it." I told her I was content. Helping kids mattered to me. Coming home to her mattered to me. Building something steady. That was the life I wanted. She looked at me like I was pathetic. "You sound like an old man," she said. "We're not even 40 yet." The signs had been there. Phone calls that went quiet when I entered the room. Weekend trips to visit her sister I wasn't invited to. New wardrobe. New perfume. New mood. "I need space to figure myself out," she said one night in February. "We just finished dinner. Maybe we should take a break?" I offered. "Try counseling?" She agreed, but only showed up for 2 sessions. Both were spent blaming me. How I didn't understand her. How I didn't listen. How I made her feel trapped. The counselor, Patricia Hoffman, looked at me gently after Elise stormed out the second time. "Sometimes," she said, "one partner checks out long before they admit it." Now, reading those texts, I finally understood. Elise wasn't trying to save anything. She had been building a case against me, and I'd unknowingly handed her 9 years of fuel. I spent the next 3 days combing through every message in that thread. Dozens of texts. spanning 2 months. She and Lauren had planned every move. The divorce attorney, the financial advisor who helped her shift money into secret accounts, the domestic violence counselor she'd consulted, just in case. Even the friend who'd agreed to testify to seeing bruises. Bruises that never existed. She needs to make him look controlling, but not too obvious, Elise had texted. Like how he always insists on paying the bills, how he gets quiet when I want to go out with friends, how he never wants me working late or traveling for work. Everything I'd done out of care or responsibility, she was flipping into something sinister. Handling the bills because I was simply better with numbers? Now it was financial control. Feeling hurt when she canceled our dinner plans? That became emotional manipulation. Wanting to spend time with her after a long day? That was now possessiveness. The hardest part wasn't the lies. It was how confident she was. How sure she sounded that no one would dare question her. Charlie's reputation will actually help me, she'd written to Lauren. Everyone thinks he's such a calm, gentle guy. So when I say he's been psychologically tormenting me in private, it'll hit harder. She added, people love a scandal, especially when it shatters their perfect image of someone. And she wasn't wrong. I'd spent over a decade counseling troubled kids, guiding families through crises, earning trust as the calm voice in storms. My entire career was built on being stable, dependable, safe. She planned to twist that into a weapon. I didn't lose my temper, didn't shove the phone in her face, didn't call Lauren and tell her exactly what I thought of their little scheme. Instead, I did something new for me. I got smart. Friday night, I drove to 3 separate electronics stores around Kansas City. Paid cash, no paper trail. Picked up a modest home security system. Nothing hidden, just standard cameras. Living room, kitchen, hallway, my office. Missouri's a one-party consent state. As long as I was part of the conversation, I could legally record it. I installed the system while Elise was away visiting her sister. When she got back, I told her it was about safety. There'd been some local break-ins. She barely looked up from her phone. If it makes you feel safer, Charlie, she said flatly. Had she been paying attention, she might have noticed something had changed. I wasn't anxious. I wasn't wondering anymore. I knew, and now I was going to prove it. The cameras started rolling that Monday. By Wednesday, I already had enough. But I let them run for 3 more weeks, just to be sure. Some battles are worth preparing for. This one had to be won. The footage was more damning than I expected, and more heartbreaking. On Tuesday afternoon, Elise stood in our living room practicing, rehearsing her lines like she was auditioning. In front of the fireplace mirror, she worked her face into expressions of fear, of pain, of heartbreak. He never laid a hand on me, she said to her own reflection. But the way he looked at me when he was mad, it was terrifying. She tried that line 3 different ways, tweaked her tone, tested her tears. Sometimes I felt like he was barely holding back, she whispered once. She stood there for nearly an hour, practicing how I controlled her wardrobe, her social life. Her voice even shook at the right moments. I'd never told her what to wear, never once asked who she was with. The only time I asked where she'd been was when she came home at 2 a.m., and I was scared something had happened. And yet, hearing her say it like that, even I almost believed her. Thursday, she had Lauren over. Another sister visit. But the camera caught it all. Right at the kitchen table, I'd sanded and stained myself. You've got to be more detailed with the money stuff, Lauren said. Just saying he controls the finances won't cut it. You need examples. Okay, Elise replied. I'll say he doesn't let me have credit cards, that I need permission to spend more than $50. I had every credit card statement filed in my office. Elise had racked up over $8,000 in 3 months. Dinners, designer shoes, random charges. Permission? She never asked. She never needed to. Perfect, Lauren nodded. What about emotional stuff? The counselor said judges are sensitive to that. I'll say he gives me the silent treatment when we argue, that I feel like I'm always walking on eggshells. And maybe that he checks my phone, Elise added. I can say he's monitoring me. I'd never once looked through her phone. The only reason I'd even seen those texts was because of the synced cloud account she forgot we had. This is going to work, Lauren said, reaching over to squeeze Elise's hand. By the time we're done, He'll be blindsided. They laughed. Actually laughed. Sitting at the table where I'd packed our lunches, planned anniversaries, balanced our budget, plotting how to dismantle everything I'd ever worked for. Then came Friday night. She was pacing in the living room, on the phone with someone. A man I didn't recognize. Voice low and smug. "No," she said. "He doesn't suspect a thing. He's too trusting. Or too, I don't know, naive." She laughed. "He still thinks we can fix this. Bless his heart." The man said something, muffled, but I caught the word money. "After this divorce," she answered, "I'll have enough to start over anywhere. He'll be so professionally wrecked. He'll be lucky to keep his job." I mean, who's going to trust a school counselor accused of abuse? I clenched my fists while watching, because now it wasn't just about betrayal. It was about destruction. She wasn't walking away. She wanted to ruin me. "I know exactly how to spin this," she continued. "He thinks being calm makes him look like a good guy. But I'll flip it. Make it look cold, controlling, creepy." Then she hung up, went back to the mirror, and practiced crying. Practiced. Real tears. Then checked her face. Adjusted. Cried again. I shut off the monitor. Sat in my office in silence. 9 years of marriage. 9 years of believing I knew her. Believing in a woman who, all along, had been planning my downfall. Absolutely. Here's the rewritten version with the name changed to Charlie and the structure, tone, and emotional arc carefully preserved. Life with her suddenly felt like I'd been living with a stranger who was plotting to destroy me like it was some sort of game. The turning point came on a Monday morning in March. Elise thought I'd already left for work, but I had forgotten my lesson plans and came back. The cameras caught her on a call, this time with a woman. A new voice, Attorney Williams' office, it said. "I've reviewed your consultation notes," the voice continued, "and I think we have a strong case for spousal support and asset division." Elise was seated at our kitchen counter, a yellow legal pad open in front of her. "What about the emotional distress claim?" she asked. "I've been documenting everything like you suggested." "Excellent. Now, you mentioned no witnesses to the abuse. That could be a hurdle, but if you have medical records, I don't," Elise said quickly. "He was too smart for that. He never left marks. It was all psychological." There was a pause on the line. "Then we'll need to rely on your statements and any proof of controlling behavior. Texts, emails, financial restrictions." Elise nodded eagerly. "I can get all of that. And my sister can testify. She's seen how he treats me." "Good," the attorney said. "There's another factor to consider. Missouri is a no-fault divorce state. But if we establish abuse, you could increase your spousal support significantly. What's the best way to prove a pattern?" Elise asked. "Start a journal," the attorney advised. "Document incidents. Write down dates, times, specific behaviors, even small things. If he raises his voice, log it. If he asks where you've been, log it. Frame normal disagreements as intimidation." My stomach turned. I watched my wife nod along, jotting down lines like felt threatened and afraid to speak up. "One more thing," the voice said. "You'll want to show isolation. Can you say he discouraged friendships or career progress?" "Actually, yes," Elise answered, her tone suddenly brightening. "He always seemed uncomfortable when I worked late or traveled. I'll say he made me choose between peace at home and my job." That was a lie. I had celebrated every promotion, respected every deadline, even when it meant eating alone, even when I spent weekends by myself. "Perfect," the attorney said. "With the right documentation and testimony, we can push for significant monthly support. Given his income and the marriage duration, we may even qualify for permanent alimony." After the call ended, Elise didn't move. She just sat there, writing in what I could only assume was her journal of fabrications. Then she called Lauren. "It's happening," she said when her sister picked up. "The attorney says I can get permanent alimony. Probably the house, too. All I have to do is make Charlie look like a monster." "Are you sure you want to go that far?" Lauren asked. "I mean, Charlie's not actually a bad guy. He's weak," Elise snapped. "And weak men deserve what they get. It's not like I'm sending him to prison. I'm just taking what I'm owed for wasting 9 years of my life." She talked for nearly an hour. About the apartment downtown she was planning to move into, about the business she wanted to start using my money, and about the man she'd been secretly seeing. That last part. That part felt like someone had driven a knife straight into my ribs. Pain mixed with something darker. Anger I had never let myself feel before. That night, when I came home, she was in the kitchen, smiling, cooking dinner, playing the role of the doting wife she had never truly been. "How was your day?" she asked, with the same tone she'd used for 9 years. "Fine," I said. "Just fine." If she could play a part, so could I. The next morning, I called in sick and made the drive to Jefferson City. I had an appointment with Thomas Grant, a divorce attorney I'd found after a lot of digging. He specialized in defending clients against false abuse claims, a service I never imagined I'd need. His office wasn't flashy, just a converted house with rows of old filing cabinets. The man himself was in his 60s, gray-haired, with tired eyes that looked like they'd seen every kind of betrayal there was. "Mr. Grayson," he said, shaking my hand. "Tell me what's going on." So I told him. Everything. The texts, the audio recordings, the footage 3 weeks of it. Showing Elise plotting, rehearsing, coaching her sister on how to lie. Grant watched several clips without saying a word, then leaned back and let out a long breath. "In 30 years of this work," he said, "I've never seen a case this well documented. Your wife essentially recorded her own conspiracy. Is it enough?" I asked. "It's more than enough," he said. "But we need to be smart. If we show our hand too early, she'll claim the videos were doctored or taken out of context. We wait until she's under oath. Once she commits to her lies in court, we present the truth." He explained the playbook. Elise would file for divorce, claiming fear for her safety. She'd request an emergency hearing for support. Her attorney would try to paint me as some dangerous, manipulative man who had hidden his true nature for years. Then, Grant said, we present the footage, not as a gotcha moment, but as direct evidence refuting her sworn claims. The judge wouldn't just see dishonesty. He'd see a premeditated plan to commit fraud. I signed a retainer that same afternoon. Grant would remain behind the scenes, silent, until Elise made her first legal move. Then we'd respond, swiftly, completely. "Just one more thing," he said before I left. "Don't change how you act at home. Don't give her any reason to think you know what she's doing. Keep everything exactly as it's been." That was harder than it sounded. Pretending things were normal, while knowing nothing ever would be again. Every dinner became a performance. Elise laughing over pasta, making small talk while secretly preparing to ruin my name. She complained about work stress while plotting to claim I was the cause of years of emotional damage. And all the while, the cameras kept rolling. Every day brought more evidence. Elise coaching Lauren on what to say under oath, strategizing with her attorney about how to maximize her payout, casual chats with friends where she floated different versions of the lie to see what felt most believable. "The thing about Charlie," she told her friend Jessica over coffee one Friday, "is that he's fooled everyone. They all think he's this kind, supportive guy because that's what he shows them." Jessica raised an eyebrow. "I don't know, Elise. I've known Charlie for years. He's never struck me as..." "That's exactly what I mean," Elise cut in. "He wears a mask. At home, he's cold, controlling. I always feel like he's waiting for an excuse to snap." Jessica didn't look convinced, but Elise believed every word. And that was the most terrifying part. She wasn't just lying. She was starting to believe her own story. That night, she came to bed late. I pretended to be asleep. "Charlie," she whispered. I stayed silent. "I know you're awake," she said softly. "We need to talk tomorrow." My heart sank. After weeks of watching her scheme, this was it. She filed on a Thursday morning in April. I was in class when the process server handed me the papers. Accusations of psychological abuse, isolation, financial control, 9 years rewritten into a horror story. An emergency hearing was set for the following Tuesday. She wanted exclusive use of the house, temporary control of all assets, and monthly support while she recovered from years of supposed trauma. I called Grant the moment I read the last page. "She's made her move," he said. Now we let her lock into the lie. The hearing lasted 4 hours. Elise sat across the room in a navy dress, her face drawn into a picture of fragility. Her attorney, Jennifer Walsh, painted a vivid picture of our marriage. A man who was gentle in public, but abusive in private. Elise took the stand for 90 minutes, claiming I had tracked her spending, pushed away her friends, used silent treatment as punishment. She described me as someone with quiet rage, someone she feared to disagree with. Lauren followed, testifying that she'd seen Elise shrink during the marriage, that my behavior had changed her sister. Judge Patricia Knox listened closely, her expression unreadable. By the end, it looked like Elise had won. Then Grant stood. "Your Honor," he said calmly, "the defense would like to submit evidence that directly contradicts the